Okay, so I will call this chapter 1 of my story about my journey to redemption. The last post was really just an introduction, kind of tell you why I'm doing this. And just as a reminder, I'm doing it because people have asked me to, because they've seen a lot of physical changes with me. And at the end of the day, those physical changes led to so many more changes, so many intangible things, like my spiritual growth, financial freedom, um, my purpose, and like recognizing what my responsibility, my purpose is in this world while God has me here, which I know is not for very long. So I've been writing in this journal, this one right here, and it says, most of all, let love guide your life. And this is the season that I'm in my life. I am not a perfect person. Obviously, nobody is. And those of you who are my friends who are watching this are probably laughing because you know I'm not perfect, and that's fine. Keep laughing. It's okay. I love you all, anyways. But I want to make sure everything that I do is in love. It comes from a place of love, even if it's the truth that you don't want to receive in that moment, or just tough love in general. And sometimes it's nurturing, caring love. Um, um, but anyways, let me get started with chapter 1. So I'm writing in this journal, and I'm just going to read from my journal. I know my parents are going to watch this video because I am going to post it on Facebook, and they are my ultimate stalkers on Facebook. Love you, Mom, Dad, Kathy, and Stephen Underwood. Love you so, so much. I wouldn't be where I am without them. They're my best supporters. They believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. They know I'm stubborn, and they don't push me. I think probably the hardest part of their life as parents, and maybe all parents, is truly, I think as a parent, you truly learn, as a Christian parent, to rely on God, because at some point you no longer have any control, and you have to trust God. You have to trust that everything you did was to guide your child in God's purpose for them. And prayer is so powerful, and I have a prayer warrior for a mother. If any of you know my mom, she prays all the time. She prayed when she spanked us. Oh, dear Lord, baby Jesus, do not make me kill these children right now. And we are still alive. Thank you, Lord, baby Jesus. So my disclaimer is for my parents specifically, because they haven't always been perfect. And sometimes they made choices that affected me and my sister negatively in the moment. And I personally held a lot of bitterness towards them, especially my father. I love you, Dad. And I regret it so much, because I lost probably 8 years of time with my dad, and before God softened my heart. And he actually softened my heart before this major transformation of my life occurred, which started when I was literally just like about to turn 30. That's when the majority of my transformation, or all my transformation, started. But God softened my heart probably at the age of 24, maybe 25, towards my father. And this first chapter of this journal kind of talks about when my frustration, my bitterness, and my disappointment, my father started. So, I'm going to read it. And that being said, I have a great relationship with my parents now. a wonderful relationship with my father. I still, despite their mistakes, will say all day long, I have two of the best parents that God put on this earth. Despite their shortcomings. So I love y'all. Here we go. It started after divorce number 2. I felt like such a failure. What was wrong with me? Why was I not good enough? Why am I not happily married, have a successful career, a family, a house, etc.? I was 29 and was completely at rock bottom, and I would be 30 very soon. When I was young, I remember very vividly adults telling me and my parents, Shauna has such a good head on her shoulders. She is so smart. Shauna is a natural leader. One day, Shauna is going to do great things. I believed it all too. I was smart. School was really easy for me. I was athletic. I had the most friends. I was always nominated for every award or leadership position by my peers. It seemed a perfect recipe for success. My parents were proud. Both were not particularly successful in the eyes of the world, and I can imagine the pride they felt knowing, despite their shortcomings, that they at least raised 2 driven, hardworking, beautiful women. And that brings me to my sister, Jennifer Underwood, who is a total awesome, career-driven woman. And I will talk about her a little bit later on in this book, I'm sure. But here I was, almost 30, divorced twice, 265 pounds, still waiting tables and bartending, not saving money, living week to week, and on the verge of completely giving up. So where did this picture-perfect trajectory of get completely diverted? Well, looking back at it all, it started when I was a freshman in high school. Girls, gather your school books. We're moving to Grandpa's house. No warning, no plan, no apology. Just wake up, grab your things. We are leaving the only home and friends you've known for the past 8 years. We were used to being poor. We were used to things not being perfect. But we had stability from where we grew up. Our school, our friends, and our church. So now not only were we poor, we were essentially homeless. Yay! And being forced to leave behind everything we'd loved as children. All because of pride. My father always had a terrible habit of not sticking with things, and because of his pride, he would lose good-paying jobs. Because of his pride, he would think he was better than where he was at each of those jobs. Because he would fail, my mother would be angry with him. Because she would get angry with him, he did not feel she supported him, so he sought out attention from other women outside his marriage. Because my mother had no friends and her family hated my father, and she confided in me. And that's when I found the chip on my shoulder. Why am I being held accountable to being a good Christian girl? No secular music, no makeup, no going to the mall, no boyfriends, etc. When my father was not faithful to my mom all the time, and my mother was depressed. It's not right. It's not fair. And now you rip me and my sister away from our friends and education. Just icing on the cake. Epic fail. And that ends chapter 1. And that's where it started. And I thought I got over it long time after that, but I clearly didn't. I walked around with a big chip on my shoulder. I was so angry with my father. And I'm pretty sure that affected my relationships, why I couldn't maintain a marriage. No, I'm not blaming my parents. This all falls on me. I chose to live with bitterness. My inability, my lack of wanting to forgive them is what caused my demise, not my parents making a mistake. That is the one thing we have all got to figure out. That we're the only ones who have the power to control our reaction to anything that occurs around us. We are the only ones who have the power over our emotions. No one breaks your heart unless you give them that power. No one ruins your future unless you give them that power. And anything short of just physically taking your life off this earth is nothing that anyone has power to do over you. And if they take your life, if you're right with God and your faith and your understanding and your purpose in this world, they just gave you a one-way ticket to paradise. Right? I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm not scared to not be here anymore. I think we all are humans and we come across that, but I can say, beyond a shadow of a doubt now, that if I did die tomorrow, I know I get to go to heaven. So, that is chapter 1. Mom and Dad, I love you. Please don't be hurt by this, because it's a redemption story. It is not a accounting of wrongs. It's not, it's not a hit list for me. Okay, this is just my story, and you were there, so none of this surprises you. Just know that I love you unconditionally. Thank you for listening, guys. Have a good night.